Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to be going on a bit of a cosmic journey today, unpacking the architecture of the universe as it's presented in the Bhagavad Gita, specifically chapter 8, verse 16. We're looking right at the structural mechanics of this ancient Vedic framework. We'll see exactly what the source material has to say about the sheer, mind-boggling vastness of the cosmos, and the absolutely monumental task of transcending the cycle of rebirth.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the cycle of rebirth. Then, mapping the material universe. Third, the role of yoga. And finally, escaping cosmic devastation.
All right, section 1, the cycle of rebirth, the cosmic problem. To ground us, let's read the translated verse of Bhagavad Gita 8:16. It reads, "From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kuntī, never takes birth again." This single verse, it literally frames the entire cosmic worldview that we're unpacking today.
Let's really zero in on that phrase right there, places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. This establishes the core parameters of the text's worldview. What it's asserting is that while location doesn't actually solve the existential problem, it doesn't matter if you are located at the absolute tippy-top peak of the material universe or all the way down at the very bottom. As long as you're somewhere inside this material sphere, you're subjected to this continuous, inescapable loop. The psychological weight of this concept in the source material is just immense. It completely redefines how spiritual elevation is measured. True success, according to the text, isn't found in simply getting a better spot within the cycle. It's about breaking out of the cycle entirely.
Let's move to and see how this builds into section 2, mapping the material universe, high planets, hard falls.
So, the text draws a really stark contrast between two distinct realms. On one side, you have the highest material planets. These are defined by their temporary nature, they're characterized by misery, and they are strictly governed by the laws of rebirth. Now, in complete opposition to that, we have the spiritual kingdom, referred to as Krishna's abode. This realm is described in absolute terms. It is eternal. It's a place of ultimate perfection, and crucially, there is absolutely no return to the material cycle once you're there. It presents a very clear binary system, temporary material fluctuation on one hand versus eternal spiritual permanence on the other.
Now, the text gets remarkably specific about what these highest material planets actually are. According to the purport, these are the demigod planets, including specific realms like Brahmaloka, Chandraloka, and Indraloka. Elevating to these spheres is not just a quick trip. It's described as an unfathomable cosmic achievement that requires just an immense amount of karmic merit. But, and here's the catch, even if a soul elevates to these unbelievable heights, the text explicitly states they eventually fall back down to earth once their accumulated merit is exhausted. It's kind of like a cosmic vacation. No matter how incredibly luxurious the resort is, eventually the funds run out, and you have to pack your bags and go back home to face the everyday cycle all over again.
You might be wondering, how does someone even reach these higher planets in the first place? Well, the commentary points to a specific mechanism called panchagni vidya. This is defined as a highly specific practice of sacrifice that's actually recommended in another ancient text, the Chandogya Upanishad. Executing this sacrifice is what enables someone to achieve physical elevation to that absolute highest material planet, Brahmaloka. The commentary implies this isn't just a weekend hobby. It is an incredibly arduous, deeply precise ritualistic process. It demands a level of focus and dedication that, frankly, very few could ever hope to master.
So the crucial point is, mere elevation is not enough. The text makes the argument that even if you flawlessly execute that Panchagni Vidya sacrifice and make it all the way to Brahmaloka, if you don't actively cultivate Krishna consciousness once you're there, you're inevitably heading right back to Earth. Physical or cosmic elevation alone simply does not stop the cycle of rebirth. In this worldview, reaching the absolute highest peak of the material universe doesn't mean you've beaten the system. You've essentially just moved into the penthouse suite of a building that is still ultimately slated for demolition.
All right, moving on to section 3, the role of yoga, the path to perfection. And this brilliantly illustrates a specific hierarchy of spiritual disciplines outlined in the text. Whether you're practicing karma yoga, which deals with action, or jnana, which is the pursuit of knowledge, or even hatha, the mastery of physical postures and breath, The commentary states unequivocally that practitioners of all these paths eventually have to attain devotional perfection in bhakti yoga, or Krishna consciousness. That is the ultimate requirement before they can actually transfer to that eternal transcendental abode. So essentially, the text posits that all these various paths eventually have to funnel into this one singular requirement for ultimate liberation.
Which brings us to our final section, number 4, Escaping Cosmic Devastation, the Final Transfer. The commentary maps out a very specific 3-step progression for the souls who are actually cultivating this consciousness up on those higher planets. Step 1, they elevate to the higher material planets through their actions and their merit. Step 2, rather than just sitting back and enjoying the immense material benefits of those realms, they actively progress in Krishna consciousness. And then, Step 3, they wait. And I mean, they wait for a truly incomprehensible amount of time. Finally, at the time of universal devastation, when the entire material cosmos is completely unmade and all elements dissolve back into their unmanifest state, that is when they are finally transferred out.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer scale of this escape. Baladeva Vidyabhushana's commentary notes, when there is devastation of this material universe, Brahma and his devotees who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness are all transferred to the spiritual universe and to specific spiritual planets according to their desires. This really highlights the immense, climactic scale of this whole escape route. It's not framed as some quiet individual departure on a standard Tuesday afternoon. No, it is a mass cosmic exodus that is synchronized exactly with the end of the universe's life cycle.
Which leads us to this final thought. If even the absolute highest material planets, the most elevated, heavenly realms imaginable in this ancient cosmology, are ultimately just temporary places of rebirth, where does true permanence actually lie? It's a profoundly existential question, and it's one that this text answers by pointing entirely outside the boundaries of the physical universe. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.